There is a bird at your feeder right now that is not just eating, it is watching you. Not the house, not the yard, you specifically. It has been doing this for longer than you realize, and at some point, without any announcement, something shifted. It stopped seeing you as a presence and started seeing you as a person. That shift has consequences, and 8 of them are visible if you know what to look at. Welcome back to Backyard Bird Mind. Subscribe before you go because what you are about to learn is already happening in your yard, and most people live their whole lives without realizing it. Today, we are walking through 8 signs that the birds outside your door have started recognizing you. Not your yard, not your feeder, you. Stay until the end, because sign number 7 is the one that changes what a quiet morning at the window means forever. Sign 1. They are already there when you step outside. You haven't touched the feeder. You haven't made a sound. But when you look out, there they are, already positioned, already waiting. Most people chalk this up to routine. It is not routine. It is anticipation. Long-term field studies tracking corvids and small songbirds near suburban feeding stations have documented what researchers call anticipatory positioning. Birds adjusting their location in the yard sometimes up to 12 minutes before a specific person appears, in patterns distinct from any other part of their day. This doesn't happen for every person who passes through. It happens for the one they have learned to expect. If your yard is already occupied when you open the door, that is not coincidence. That is memory with your face attached to it.
Sign 2. Strangers empty the feeder. You don't. Watch what happens when someone unfamiliar walks into your yard. The birds vanish. The feeder clears. Sometimes they won't return for several minutes after the stranger has gone. Then watch what happens when you go out. Some of them keep eating. Some shift to a farther branch but don't leave. The response is not the same, and the difference is not about smell or movement or noise. It is primarily visual. Landmark research at the University of Washington demonstrated that American crows can identify specific human faces with enough precision to pass that information to birds who have never personally encountered the person. Your birds have a face on file. The fact that yours doesn't clear the yard tells you everything about which category you've been placed in. Sign 3. They look directly at you. This one is easy to miss the first time, but once you see it, you cannot unsee it. A bird at your feeder will stop, turn its head, and focus one eye directly on your face. 2, sometimes 3 seconds, then back to the seed. In birds with eyes on the sides of their heads, that directional focus requires a deliberate, conscious adjustment. It costs attention that could be spent scanning for hawks. When a bird gives that attention to you specifically, repeatedly, it is registering you as an individual worth monitoring. Not as a threat, not as furniture, as someone. Ornithologists call this investigative orientation. You might call it being seen. Both descriptions are accurate. Sign 4. They track you as you move. Walk a slow path across your yard, from the door to the feeder toward the far corner. If the birds in your yard know you, watch what happens. A cardinal that was facing east turns to follow. A jay shifts its perch to keep you in view without flushing. This is called subject tracking, and birds do it for 2 categories of individual: predators and the people who matter. The fact that you fall into the second category, watched but not fled, means you have been placed on a mental list, not a dangerous one, a meaningful one. You are a known quantity in their model of the world, and they update that model every single time you appear. Sign 5. Other birds act like they already know you. A bird you have never seen before arrives and behaves immediately as though you are safe. No alarm calls, no hesitation. It eats with the same ease as the birds that have been coming for months. Birds share information, not abstractly but specifically. Chickadee alarm calls embed details about threat type and urgency into their structure, and other species eavesdrop on those calls constantly. If the birds who know you are silent when you appear, every bird in earshot receives that information. Your reputation is not held by one animal. It moves through the yard like a signal. A new bird arriving to a calm yard is arriving to a yard that has already vouched for you. Sign 6. The alarm calls have gone quiet around you. This one you can test right now. Birds produce 2 broad categories of sound near humans: alarm calls, sharp, urgent, unmistakable, and contact calls, soft conversational sounds that mean everything is fine. The ratio of those two things when you are outside is one of the clearest indicators of how you have been categorized. In a yard where the human registers as unknown, alarm calling spikes the moment a person steps out. In a yard where the human is trusted, those sounds quiet down. The birds may carry on with soft contact calls, the low chips and murmurs of a flock going about its morning, but the urgent notes stop. That acoustic landscape is not random. It is a verdict. Listen for it tomorrow when you step outside. What the yard sounds like in the first 30 seconds after you appear is the birds' honest assessment of what they have decided about you. Sign 7. They have started bringing things to you. Stay with me here because this is the one researchers didn't expect to find. Corvids, crows and jays, have been documented leaving objects at the precise location where a trusted person regularly appears. Stones, shiny fragments, pieces of bark placed deliberately apart from others. In one widely discussed case, a crow began leaving small objects at the exact spot where a woman filled her feeder. Not scattered, placed. Whether this constitutes gift-giving in a way that carries meaning beyond the behavioral is still being worked through. What is not in question is that it is intentional, specific to a person, and reciprocal in nature. The bird received something. The bird returned something. If you have ever found an oddly positioned object near your feeder and dismissed it, I want you to go back and reconsider. Sign 8. Something in how they act around you has started to feel like choice. This is the sign that is hardest to measure and the one that matters most. At some point, if you have been consistent and calm and present in your yard, the birds stop tolerating you and start choosing you. The chickadee that lands within arm's reach when it could land anywhere. The cardinal that arrives the morning after you've been away for a week, almost before you've settled back in. The small wren that appears on the fence when you're sitting quietly, not at the feeder, not doing anything particularly useful, just being there. Research on avian cognition is increasingly clear that many common backyard species are capable of forming individual associations with specific humans. Associations built on time, consistency, and what the bird has repeatedly experienced in your presence. The birds that keep coming back to your yard are not coming back to the seeds. Seeds are everywhere. They are coming back to a yard where the human has never once made them regret staying. That is not a small thing. That is trust, and it took longer to build than you probably realize. It can be lost faster than you'd expect. Take care of it. If one of these hit differently than you expected, tell me which one in the comments. And if a bird has ever come to you in a moment that felt like more than coincidence, the right bird, the right morning, the kind of moment you don't have easy words for, share it. This community holds those stories with the weight they deserve. I'll see you in the next one.